Hey everyone, hi and welcome to The Bridge. This is an interview series by Talent in Web3, where we speak with Web3 founders across the Asia ANZ region to understand why they are building in Web3. My name's Nigel, and today we have Tascha with us today with Alpha Ventures DAO. Hi Tascha, nice to meet you.
Hi, glad to be here.
Just so that we can introduce you to the crowd, Tascha, what is your Web3 origin story?
Yeah, luckily I was in the Bay in 2016, and pretty much got introduced to Bitcoin and everything in 2016 and 17, where I went to school, which is in at UC Berkeley. So within the UC Berkeley network, a lot of sharing and knowledge has been shared about Bitcoin and the blockchain, right? So that's how I first got introduced and started trying trading in 2017. I think with similar to a lot of people who are in the space now, I think a lot of people got started in 2016, 17. And then I think trading was like just to get it, going, just to try what it is, how it works and everything, right? And then as you kind of dabble into this whole new realm of what is this thing, then you started to read more. So I read Bitcoin white paper, Ethereum white paper, a lot of white paper, and I realized that, wow, what we're looking at here is super interesting, at least for me, right? I think it's super interesting that, hey, like this can actually revolutionize so many things. It really thinks outside the box, and it actually like creates a whole new opportunities and also like whole new business models. So I got really like fascinated with that. So I've been following with the whole industry ever since, until 2020. That's when I started Alpha Finance Lab or Alpha Ventures DAO. We have two arms. But the reason that, it took me from 2017 to 2020 was that in 2017, 18, 19, it was a lot about like infrastructure, right? A lot of the blockchains were being built, a lot of infrastructure were being built. Not so much the applications on top of the blockchain itself. But personally, I'm more interested in, hey, like what can you actually do with these blockchains to actually like be more consumer related. So I'm more relatable to the application layer. Up until 2020, that's when the first application kicked off, which is DeFi, right? Or decentralized finance. So I think that whole cycle, pretty much more of really figuring out how do I want to do anything with this area that I really am interested in. And then 2020 just happens to be that it's the DeFi or decentralized finance, which is the first application set that is built on blockchain, right? So that's how we got started.
Awesome. Tell me more about why DeFi. Why of all things or use cases did this pique your interest? Have you always had a background in finance?
Yeah, so yes, so I studied economics. Been
Mm,
very interested in finance, in tech, intersection of those. Being at Berkeley also helped kind of ignite curiosity of tech, and how it intersects with finance, like automatically as well. And then my co-founder, his background is in math and engineering, so he went to MIT. He's actually ranked the third in math globally. His name is Nipun. You can actually have it checked on the International Mathematics
mm.
Olympiad. So with his strength and love of math, it makes it a really interesting problem to tackle when we look at DeFi, because with DeFi you're actually like creating financial product on chain, which means that everything is math, right? Because in order for you to automate everything and making sure that it's safe, and parameters are good, you have to have a really strong math. And in order for us to be able to innovate, I think our in-house research team and math capability really differentiate that. And hence, why we decide to tackle DeFi because of our interest, which is, the founding team's interest. And also we are going to be able to like use that to leverage and innovate a lot better than others.
Awesome. Could you double click on what exactly is DeFi or what exactly is the space that Alpha Venture DAO is building on? Is it just replacing banking, or is it broader than that, or is it very specific?
So we focus on building DeFi products, which I'm going to explain a bit more on what that DeFi word means, right? And at the same time, we also, help advise and incubate external projects too. So I think, but anything in DeFi, right? But the main focus is building DeFi products. And what I mean by DeFi is that, so think of it as there are two different worlds now, right? With the current world that we're all in, everything is built, on the current technology. Everything is using fiat. And now when we have another whole new world, which is everything is built on blockchain, and blockchain is open tech, which means that it's not tied to any particular country or anything. But what that world needs is an economy, or like a metric of economy to be able to function in that world, right? So hence, it gives rise to different cryptocurrency, USDT, USDC, that represent, fiat equivalent, which is stable, or very non-stable, like volatile tokens, like Ethereum, Bitcoin. But anyway, these are all the metrics, or different units of how money can flow in this new world, in this new economy, right? Once there are these units that happen, which we have been having these things since like 2012, 13, right? Then the question becomes, or the question in among the people in this new world is asking, oh, how do we actually make use of these units that we have already? So then it gives rise to, okay, we can actually do lending, or we can allow people who hold, Bitcoin tokens or Ethereum tokens to lend, because there are people in this new world who want to borrow. Then you might ask, why do they borrow Ethereum? Or like, what did they do with the borrowed Ethereum tokens, right? Again, we're talking about this new world. So everything in this new ecosystem is in the new world. The reason that it doesn't link with the current world yet is because the unclarity of like regulations and clarity of so many things. So hence, the people who would want to borrow, let's say, Ethereum tokens, would be wanting to perhaps speculate on Ethereum token price, or maybe even borrow to stake, because now Ethereum as a blockchain has ability to have people stake and support the blockchain protocol, right? So there are many different reasons why in this new world, or in this new economy, people would want to borrow Ethereum tokens to do different things in this new world. So because of those new opportunities that happen, then people like me, or like my team, were thinking of different questions. For example, oh, how do we make sure, or like, how can we create new financial opportunities or financial ways for people? What can we do more with what we have in this new world? So like lending is one of the options. Margin trading is another option. Derivative trading. So these are different things that the DeFi would be falling under. And these availabilities of services, note that it's only related to cryptocurrency, because everything we're talking about is in the new world, right? And in the new world has no fiat at all.
Got it. But I guess the question is why? In your opinion, why is this a problem worth solving? As you mentioned, there's two worlds. We already have one world, the fiat world. A lot of these problems are already like solved. The solution's already there. Why would somebody in Web2, for example, why would they appreciate that there's this whole new thing that's happening in this new world?
Good question. And I think a lot of people, when they think of crypto, they think of the centralized part of crypto. For example, a lot of the centralized exchanges, centralized funds. And when I say centralized, I mean that their product and tech and how their company built their, their code base, nothing is open, right? You can think of centralized crypto companies as typical tech companies, typical tech startups. Just happen so that they build product that offer stuff for crypto, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is that, centralized exchange is offering, crypto trading is no different than, Grab or like Lazada, right? Like tech wise, everything's the same. It just happens so that their product offering is allowing users to trade crypto. Versus when it's decentralized project, or decentralized product, which is what these DeFi products are. And also, even when people say Web3, it's the products that are built in a decentralized way. So the product and tech are open source. The product and tech are transparent and automated. So it runs very differently. So what that means is with the decentralized way of product and tech, everything's automated. Everything's run through smart contract on the blockchain. Hence, it's different from centralized exchanges, which everything is closed, right? So now that we understand roughly the key difference between centralized crypto company and like decentralized crypto company, then now it leads to my original point that when typical, when general people think of crypto, people think of the centralized crypto company, which is fair because that's the majority of the space nowadays. And also that's the first thing that people would see unless they really dabble into Web3 and they would see the decentralized part. So when that happens, I think a lot of people can be skeptical very easily of crypto as an industry or Web3 as an industry, right? Because of the failure of FTX, failure of different centralized companies. And note that all the companies that are failing and on the news, they're all in the centralized crypto company part, BlockFi, Gemini, etc. Right? Oh, not Gemini, sorry, Genesis. The reason that we really believe in DeFi, and also we think that people who are also in Web2 should be excited with Web3, especially in DeFi, is that this is the first time that we see, like in our own hands and eyes, that centralized finance don't work because of pretty much because of human, right? However, if everything's transparent and open and automated and run through smart contract, things actually work. With the current bear market, with the last bull market, DeFi protocols, which is all automated on smart contract, they are still here. Like these protocols work, the products and tech work. There's no fraud, nothing happened. With all of those, we're even more bullish in DeFi now with all the failure of centralized companies. And that's why we want to innovate this even further.
Got it. So if I try to take a step back and rephrase that in a different way, is it that we can finally not trust humans, but rather just trust code and math with Web3?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense to me. Why DeFi though? Like Web3, some people would already be familiar with like the $1 million JPEGs, NFTs, DAOs. Like there's a lot of different facets in Web3. Why were you particularly interested in DeFi? I know you already mentioned that your partner was in maths and your background is in finance, but beyond that, do you think this is like the most exciting aspect of Web3?
So I think the most exciting is subjective. If you're asking an artist, it might be NFT for sure. And I think the whole Web3 is really exciting. Even though I'm not building in social identity area, I get really excited. Lens Protocol just launched the gated token yesterday. I got really excited by that. I think any innovation in Web3 is really exciting. But the reason that we want to really build in DeFi and also focus in DeFi is that I think DeFi is going to be the core of a lot of things. Because if you look at blockchain and this whole industry that we have, it really represents new economy, right? It represents like a different way of how economy or country should be run, different economy, right? In order for an economy or a country to be successful, there has to be a very strong fundamental infrastructure of how financial system is run. So no matter new innovation happen, whether it's NFTs or social identity or anything like that, I think the core thing that this economy or this world needs is a really strong and good like financial system. Yeah, so similar to our world, right? Like we can have good food ordering application. etc. But like the very basic thing, which I think now we all take it for granted, is we need to have a very good fundamental financial system, and hence in order for everything to run smoothly.
In that case, what are you building in Web3? What is Alpha Venture DAO?
Two different sides. So we built DeFi DeFi products in the name of Alpha Finance Lab, which I'll explain a bit more on, like what kind of DeFi products do we build. And then we also help incubate external projects from time to time. It's more of like the main focus is on Alpha Finance Lab. On Alpha Ventures DAO side, this is more on community contributing and making sure that we also help grow the talent base and the know-how of the ecosystem by helping incubate other projects. But it becomes more of opportunities as we see fit. So it doesn't operate more like a program, right? So coming back to Alpha Finance Lab, what we are building are DeFi protocols that really tackle the fundamental problem, right? So I can share one product that we already have built, but I cannot share the second product yet because it hasn't been launched. But I can explain a bit roughly on like what problem we're solving. Really excited. I'll explain the first product first, right? So the product that we already launched back in 2020 is called Alpha Homora, and the usage went up to about 2 billion at one point. I think around Q1 of 2021. And then what it does is that it is a lending and borrowing platform, but very different from typical lending and borrowing, right? We innovate a lot of concepts. We innovate on the borrowing side. We innovated on the interest rate model side. So I don't want to get into too many details, but with the whole offering of Alpha Homora, we actually came up with the whole new concept called leveraged yield farming. So before Alpha Homora, there is no concept, no mention of leveraged yield farming, but nowadays it has become, another category of DeFi that people understand. So that's Alpha Homora, right? And then with a new product that we're building, it's going to be linked with Alpha Homora as well, and it's going to be a DeFi ecosystem that we build. But the problem that we're tackling is that money markets now, or lending borrowing market now, don't work for high volume of money with how the product is built. Because, for instance, if you look at borrowers, right? Borrowers, like the interest rates actually are not reflected from the yields in the market. The yields as in what the borrowers can gain, right? And typically borrowers borrow the money and pay the interest rate in order for them to make more money in the market so that this strategy would make sense. However, the interest rate model with how lending and borrowing market work nowadays in DeFi actually take nothing into account, the market rates that external borrowers can need to consider. So we're rethinking everything from the money market point, in which the whole prompt is that what would it take in order for, let's say, 100 million fund to lend 50 million at one time? Because let's say if they lend at one time, what happens now is in the lending interest rate, which is really dropped, the whole pool is going to be, super big. And there's so many like problems with the current way that it would not allow DeFi to scale. So we're solving that problem. So we're solving scalability problem in DeFi with a new product.
Maybe we can round off that discussion. Tascha, just share with us, where is Homura now and what are you excited about it in the future?
Yeah, so Alpha Homora now is live on many blockchains. It's on Ethereum, Optimism, which is a layer 2, on Phantom, on Binance Smart Chain. And it works a lot with both retail users and also like institutional users. So yeah, it has outgrown to become more than leverage yield farming that we set out to be in the beginning. And now the upcoming future is that it's also going to be linked with a new product that we're building on. And the whole two products, Alpha Homora and also the new product, will really tackle the problem that I shared earlier. together in a way that we think both Alpha Homora and the new product will really solve the scalability issues in DeFi, at least for the next phase, until DeFi changes how it is as the industry changes. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And just quickly on that, when you say you want to solve the scalability issue, who are you solving it for? Is it for the normal consumer to be able to use, like, millions and millions of consumers to use the product? Or is it for bigger money, like people with a lot of net worth being able to use the product at scale? Or is there no difference? Is it the same target market for you?
Good question. So again, back to the old world, well, not old, the current world and the new world that I was explaining, right? So everything in the new world, namely, blockchain world, the new economy, maybe it's not new, it's just, a separate one, right? But this separate economy, everything is kind of insulated here. At this point, anything that is DeFi, borrowing opportunities, people are only borrowing to do different things in this new economy. They're not borrowing Ethereum to do different things in the current economy of buying cars, right? Not so much. And I think the linkage of that will be linked sometimes in the future. I think that would probably happen when regulations are a lot more clear, a lot of things are a lot more clear. But anything that's in the new economy or the new world is right now only in the new world, right? So what that means is for Alpha Homora or even the new product, we're building for the people in that new world. Hopefully, as industry matures, as things get more clear, people from the current world will be more comfortable joining the new economy. And then when the bridge is more clear as well, then I think the flow is going to be a lot clearer. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. In that case, sounds like there's a lot of interesting things in store for the company and Homura and everything else and the second product that I'm very excited to see. What are the biggest challenges? Obviously, there's a bear market, but what do you think the big bumps for the company are in the future?
I try to think of this question before too, right? Like, I think it really doesn't pinpoint down to one problem. Let's say, like, you cannot say that, oh, like finding fundraising is the hardest. You cannot say that managing people is the hardest. But I think what's really hardest is that as a company, your company will go through multiple phases. For example, if you are very seed phase, it's one challenge, right? If you are, maybe like Series A phase, it's different type of company. If you're growth phase, it's different type of company too. So I think the hardest thing as a founder in any company doesn't mean that it's only Web3, right? Is that you have to be aware of that, hey, your company is transitioning from C to Series A type of company. I'm not talking about, how much money the company has in the fundraising, but the nature of the company, right? Which means that what is needed, how it should be run, the type of people that you need are going to be different. And you have to understand how different it should be in order for company to be really successful in its space. I think that's really hard because there's no one to tell you, hey, we're entering Series A phase, or hey, we're entering growth phase. It's you have to be able to analyze, observe, think, reflect, and realize that, hey, like we need different kind of people, we need different culture, right? And all these different things that you need comes from the different phase of company that you're entering into. Yeah, so that's my long answer short.
Got it. In that case, I have to ask this question then. Where do you think Alpha is right now? Which stage is it? And what is the challenge that you see for this specific stage that you're in?
Yeah, I think we passed the first growth phase. And then now we're going into another growth phase. Yeah, so now we're at the point in which it's going to be high growth, similar to last phase, but different angle. So which means that teams will have to be reorg, culture will have to be set differently. In the past, maybe first year of your company or even 2 years, maybe not number of years that matter, but like what phase you're in that matter, right? Maybe if it's seed phase, Series A phase, you may not really have to care so much about oh, you need to have clear culture because people are not that many, right? But let's say when it's going through, another growth phase, then you need to make sure all the ingredients are primed for you to grow well.
Okay, awesome. In that case, what's like either a North Star or a metric that you're looking into, so that you're getting there, that you're progressing, that you're winning? Is there any specific number that you're looking at?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are multiple lenses that we look at because we also don't want to be successful on the fact that it's hurting others as well, or not educating and not helping to grow the new economy and the knowledge of the new economy too. So we measure growth on multiple fronts. The first front is product usage. So we have metrics on the product usage. We have goals for um, how much Alpha Homora and how much the new product would have to grow into in terms of TVL, in terms of adoption, in terms of different rankings. We have the second lens in terms of as a company wise, our culture and branding is good in a way that we want to make sure that we become a team that really is strong in product and tech and able to ship great innovation, right? So I think in the future, we're based in in Thailand, right? So in the future, when there are more capable like Southeast Asian talent, we're going to be able to capture them and really groom them. And I think the third angle is really much on helping educate and making sure that everyone is safe in the new economy. So we're going to be publishing a lot of different thought piece, different research piece, co-writing with other research institutions to make sure that everyone like help work it out on the security front, because I think it's an open problem, right? Like, how do you make sure this new economy is safe? It's so new that it's very unclear, and it requires an active role in solving that problem.
Okay, very interesting. I find that very striking. A metric that doesn't require somebody else to lose. I think that's very interesting. In that case, why should somebody we're currently in a very precarious market today. Why would somebody in Web 2 still want to join this Web 3 wave? Why would this be? Why do you think this should be legit enough for people to still consider?
I think number one is that I really think it's the future. If you look at the tech and the product, right? Blockchain as a product and as a tech, different smart contracts of applications that are built on blockchain, what it can do, how it's being built, and all these things. Like, this is the future. So ignore all the centralized crypto company for now, and then just jump into Web3, right? If you really dive deeper into that, you will see and you will understand that it's the future, given how it's built, right? So that's number one. So number two for me is that given so much unclarity, it suggests that we're super early as an industry, right? Because if as an industry, if it's super matured, everything's going to be figured out already. Everything's going to be very clear. Let's say where we are now in the internet tech, right? It's very clear how to use it. It's very clear what's the regulations. Everything's super clear. But it also comes with the fact that it's very matured. And with things that are already matured, it means that there are not that many new green fields for you to create different opportunities, right? So which means that if you come into Web3, I think there are so many new opportunities in terms of your career, your roles, your growth, because it's only going to grow, right? It's just a matter of when it will kick off. So I think being a part of a growing industry is very exciting than a maturing or declining industry. The third thing is, if you believe in one and two, then for me, I find that, hey, I want to be a part of the future. I want to be a part of someone who's building how the future looks like. So might as well join now, one way or the other, and be a part of creating this whole economy, as opposed to waiting and then joining as a user 20 years from now. I think it's going to be missing the fun of like, hey, like I was the one who created that, and be a part of that ride together. Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm convinced. No, I'm there. For those that were also convinced, how does one get into this space, in your opinion? What's the best way to get involved or to get started?
Very tough question. And I think that's what we also all lack, is like, now that people are interested, how do they get started, right? So I think a lot of people that I find are, they self-study, they try to recruit in their countries, of, crypto projects. Some people start from centralized company, but I think nowadays it's also not as safe as before too. So perhaps you don't have to limit yourself from only centralized company. You can open, the whole thing and evaluate all options. But I think apart from that, what I think will be really helpful is, you can join different programs. For example, like nowadays, a lot of companies are creating accelerating programs for individuals to get ramped up. There are different training programs, different facilities that support this. For example, I think like there are like startup schools that help match the talent and the startup. So I think like be in search for all those companies that offer the linkage for you. So you don't have to self-study a lot of things, because it really is difficult to kind of like know what is important to know, because information is so much.
Got it. Okay. And final question, if they are interested in Alpha, whether it be Ventures or the Finance Lab, how do they get in touch?
Yeah, they can check out our Twitter, Alpha Ventures DAO. Or if you want to check out or reach out to me, you can also do so on my Twitter. It's Tascha_pan. I'm pretty active there. So yeah, it's an open economy anyway. So things are pretty transparent and open. So if you want to chat, feel free.
All right. Was there anything else before we conclude the call? Any last words for people tuning in?
Yeah, I think last words is, if you are young talent, ambitious, young meaning that you can still take risks, and you don't have to be successful like next year, right? You have time to be successful. Then I think Web3 is a place for you. There's so much growth opportunity career-wise. Yeah, like promotions happen so quickly because the growth is so fast. And yeah, I think there are a lot of room to grow.
Awesome. Super exciting. Thank you again, Tascha, for your time. Very excited to see what is in store for Alpha in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.